So this is our first significant thunderstorm we went through, or I guess I should say a thunder hail storm. I'll go into a little more detail later, but I just wanted to kind of show you one of the high points of the trip so far. Hi, this is Dave with Dave's TR4A. Welcome back to my channel. This is episode 2 of our trip out west in the TR4A. While we were in Albuquerque, we were able to squeeze in one British car event. My good friend Cliff Hansen belongs to the local British car club in Albuquerque, and he put together a club drive up Sandia Crest, which is a 10,600 and something foot peak in Albuquerque. And so it's a nice windy road, and we had a great time. So we did that the day before we left to go to Taos. So here we're driving up Route 14, all 9 of us. That's Cliff in front of me, and we're heading towards Sandia Crest Road. Okay, we're on the Crest Road now, just coming out of a hairpin going uphill. It was a fairly steep road. Of course, you have to get to 10,000 feet. There's even bicycles going up the hill, so there was quite a crowd that day. So here's a short clip of us driving up Sandia Crest. And you can see the weather was just beautiful. We had a great day for that. A lot of nice people too in his club. Then quite an assortment of cars. There was a XK120 Jag all the way down to my TR4A. It was just a great group of people. So here we are going into the visitors, I guess you could call it the visitor center. It's the summit. And the group all kind of parked together at one end of this thing. So here we are just driving in. We had the top down. So it was just a great day.
That was outstanding.
You like that?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Good rehearsal for your Pikes Peak trip.
There you go. Well, I like the sound of your exhaust.
Really?
That sounds pretty good.
Oh. This is the loud one.
Yeah.
So here's Cliff and I standing by our cars in the parking lot at the summit. And here's a shot looking down at the parking lot. Some of the guys had already left, but you can see there was some real nice cars that went along on the drive. It was a lot of fun. Well, it's Sunday, June 4th, and we've been on the road for, I think, 9 days now. And we're leaving Albuquerque and heading to an overnight stop at Taos, New Mexico. Google says it's 2 hours and 30 minutes, 127 miles on the route we're taking. We're not going up. We're going to try to stay off I-25 and just go the back roads. And one of the reasons is we also want to stop and see the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge, which is supposed to be the 10th highest bridge in the continental United States. So I think it's 600 plus feet over the Rio Grande. So that's going to be kind of cool to see. So we'll get on the way here and see how the trip goes. Madrid, New Mexico. This is a little town that's right on Route 14. It's between Santa Fe and Taos, and used to be a big coal mining town, and that kind of dried up, and then it was a ghost town for a while, and now it's, well, there's only 300 people or so, 200 to 300 people in the town. There's permanent residents, so you can call it whatever you want, I guess, but it's kind of a artist place now, and there's a bunch of little shops and restaurants and whatever. So yeah, it's kind of cool. There's a museum there too. It's got some old train stuff in it and everything. But we didn't stop, but it looked pretty neat. So I thought I'd just include that in the video here. The Rio Grande Bridge was pretty spectacular, I have to say, even for a guy like me that's not looking forward to going up on something high. But it was very cool. So I'm glad we went. Well, we got to our hotel in Taos about 4 o'clock or so. No problems once again with the car. The weather was perfect. Everything was just fine. We had a great time, and the hotel was really neat. So we kind of explored Taos a little bit. I'll show you some pictures here in a minute. But yeah, it was a good drive. It was a long drive. Pretty boring, really. So I didn't really want to bore you guys with hours and hours of views out the windshield of my Triumph. I just kind of showed you the high spots. But Madrid was pretty cool, and the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge was pretty neat too. We got some good shots of that. So anyway, it was all in all, it was a good day's travel. Well, it's day 10 of our trip. This is the day that we rendezvous with the other people from Tri-State Triumphs that are traveling out to go up Pikes Peak. Google has enthusiastically said that we're going to only take just a little bit under 5 hours to go 277 miles. But this is, if you saw the first clip of this video, we got into a pretty gnarly thunder shower. Well, it was actually a thunder hail storm in the mountains as we started to go into Colorado. So I think it took us about 6 hours or 7 hours altogether. But we ended up getting into Manitou Springs about 3:30 or 4 o'clock. And I think that's just about when the other guys were coming in from Kansas City. They had spent the night there in Kansas City, and then they were going to drive the last 600 miles to get to to Manitou Springs. So everybody made it safe and sound, and yeah, we can't wait to start this next adventure on this trip. Okay, June 5th, we're leaving the hotel. Car's all packed up. Colleen just checked this out. The weather this morning is beautiful. Hasn't been really hot the whole time we've been on the trip so far, which is a real shocker. But we'll see how the weather goes as we proceed through the day here. I'm going to try to do a time lapse of the drive from Taos to Manitou Springs, going up through the Rockies after we traverse north through the high edge of New Mexico. It was a pretty interesting drive once we got in the Rockies and the thunderstorms started happening. So I'll talk about that later, kind of a recap. But anyway, here's the drive. Okay, so now we're driving up I-14, and we're going to be picking up Route 163, which goes west. And I'm thinking it was above that, or past that storm you see growing on the right-hand side there in the mountains. But actually, Route 163 took us right into the middle of it and into just a huge. It started out with just rain, and then it turned to heavy rain, and then I'll show you here in a second. It turned to sleet, and there was actually two right at the summit, just past the summit. There were two semis that were. One was just barely hanging on the road, and the other one was completely across all the lanes of the highway. Here's a shot just past the summit, and you can see the sleet on the road. It was quite substantial. The car was actually kind of drifting around, and I was going about 30 miles an hour or something at that time. So we slowed way down. And well, actually, one of the trucks, the one that was high centered, was basically on the shoulder of the road. And I think the only thing that kept them from going over was the driver's side fuel tanks were kind of stuck on the shoulder of the road. Otherwise, he would have been going over the side for sure. So, but yeah, that was pretty exciting. So, onward and upward with the trip from there. So, we're just leaving the gas station here, getting onto I-25, heading towards Denver. We're going to be getting off at Colorado Springs and then going west to Manitou Springs, which they're almost like suburbs of each other. But you can see we're heading towards another big rain. So we'll see how that goes. Well, it goes without saying that my windshield wipers worked terrific this whole trip. This camera is mounted outside the car. That's why you don't see any action from the wipers. It's a GoPro Hero 4 Silver, but it's just a real piece of junk. I need to get something better because it's constantly stopping on me. But anyway, we're getting through the rain just fine at this point. Well, that's it for episode 2. I'm going to close with a sneak peek of episode 3, where you can see off in the distance there Pikes Peak. That's the snow-covered one. And in front of me is Greg Donegan in his S2000. That's another story for tomorrow, too. So anyway, thanks for watching, and sorry for how long it took to do this. I'm just such a rookie at it, but I want to try to do as good a job as I can. So anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying it, and stay tuned for episode 3. That's it for now. Please like and subscribe.